The wind howled like a wounded beast across the moon's jagged plains. Dr. Lyra Voss tightened her grip on her scanner, its screen flickering against the static storm. Her boots sank into the violet sludge as she trudged toward the signal, at a faint, repeating pulse buried beneath electromagnetic noise. Just another dead-end survey, she thought. 3 weeks stranded on this mud ball, and all she'd found were sulfur vents and fossilized algae. Then she heard it, a sound like wind chimes made of glass. Lyra froze. The scanner spiked. She turned, and there, half buried in the sludge, was a creature. It was no larger than a child, serpentine and luminous, its body coiled in loops of iridescent scales that refracted light even in the gloom. Its head, crowned with feathery tendrils, tilted upward, revealing eyes like liquid gold. When it opened its mouth, the chime-like sound echoed again. A cry, weak and trembling. Xenobiology 101, Lyra muttered, crouching. Don't touch, unless you've got a containment kit. But her medkit was back at the lander, and the creature's side bled a faint silver glow, pooling into the mud. She hesitated. Protocol said to log and leave. Curiosity said, it's just a kid. Lyra unclipped her ration pack. The creature's eyes tracked her hands as she tore open a protein bar. The smell was synthetic, bitter, but when she held it out, the creature lunged, not at her but the food. It devoured the bar in 3 gulps, its throat pulsing like a hummingbird's. You're welcome, Lyra said, laughing nervously. The creature nuzzled her wrist, its touch warm. Then it hissed. Lyra turned. They emerged from the storm like ghosts, towering figures in armor woven from black shells, their faces hidden behind masks of polished bone. Their leader stepped forward, a staff of twisting metal in hand. Behind him, 6 more surrounded them, their movements silent despite the mud. Hello? Lyra raised her hands, voice steady. Xeno Survey Team 7, this isn't hostile territory, right? I didn't cross any... The leader ignored her. He stared at the creature coiled around her arm, then at the empty ration wrapper. His voice boomed, resonant and guttural in perfect English. You have fed the air. By ancestral law, you are bound. What? The right of sustenance. The mask hid his face, but his tone brooked no argument. You have given her life. Now she owns yours. Lyra's breath fogged her visor. Owns? No. This is a misunderstanding. I'm just a scientist. I didn't know she was... Silence. The staff struck the ground. You are Vecthra. Now the child's guardian. The creature, Kayla, Lyra would later learn, hissed again. This time it wasn't fear. It was laughter. They marched her to their camp, a fortress of living stone that pulsed like a heartbeat. The air smelled of ozone and burnt sugar. Lyra tried to protest, to explain she couldn't be anyone's guardian. She'd spent her life avoiding responsibility, fleeing Earth's endless debates about ethics committees and interspecies treaties. She'd joined the Survey Corps for the silence of space, not this. But the Zerathi didn't care. Inside the fortress, a circle of elders awaited. Their robes shimmered with bioluminescent threads, and their voices overlapped in a chorus that made Lyra's teeth ache. The air has imprinted, one said. The right is irreversible, another added. Her fate is sealed. Lyra gripped Kayla, who now draped lazily over her shoulders. Look, I get it. Your culture values this ritual. But there's got to be a way to undo it. A legal loophole? A trade? The High Matriarch, a woman so ancient her skin glowed faintly, stepped forward. You fed her. You accepted the bond. I fed a hungry kid. That doesn't mean I'm signing up for slavery. Slavery? The matriarch's laugh was a dry rasp. No, this is honor. To be chosen by the heir is a gift. You will teach her your world's ways. In return, she will teach you ours. And if I say no, then you die. The word hung in the air. Kayla coiled tighter around Lyra's neck, her voice sudden and sharp inside Lyra's mind. They'll kill us both if they learn you're lying. Lyra's heart thudded. Lying about what? I'm not the heir. Not really. The Zerathi's gaze bore into her. The matriarch gestured, and a servant brought a bowl of viscous, glowing liquid. Drink. she commanded. To seal the bond. Lyra hesitated. The bowl trembled in her hands. Kayla hissed, "Do it, or we both burn." The liquid tasted like burnt honey and static. As the room erupted in chants, Lyra felt a warmth spread through her veins, a connection faint but undeniable, humming between her and the creature. Not love, not yet, but something deeper. A thread, woven tight. Later, when the elders left them alone in a chamber lined with pulsing fungus, Lyra whispered, "Why lie?" Kayla's eyes narrowed. "If they knew I was just a stray, they'd have fed me to the hive." "A stray? You're a princess." "No." The child's voice dropped. "I'm nothing. But you? You're the first person who ever gave me food without wanting something in return." Lyra stared at the ration wrapper, crumpled in her palm. Outside, the storm raged on. The Zarathi called it the Ruktal Festival, a celebration of survival, or so Lyra was told. But as she stood in the arena, surrounded by a roaring crowd of chitinous faces, she wondered if festival was a euphemism for public execution. Kayla coiled around her shoulders, her scales flickering faintly with nervous light. "Stay, calm," the child whispered through their new mental link. "They're just testing you." "Testing me?" Lyra hissed under her breath. "By making me fight a bug." Before her, a creature the size of a wolf scuttled from a cage. Its body was a mass of jagged black plates, 6 pairs of eyes glowing red. The crowd chanted, stomping their clawed feet until the ground trembled. High Matriarch Zilla's voice boomed from a balcony above. "Dr. Lyra Voss, Vectra of the Air, prove your worth, spill blood, and earn your place." Lyra glanced at the weapon offered. A curved dagger dripping with something that hissed as it hit the sand. She'd spent her life studying alien biology, not fighting it. The creature lunged. Instinct took over. Lyra dove sideways, the dagger slipping in her sweaty palm. The beast's mandibles snapped inches from her leg. She slashed wildly, cutting, a gash in its armored flank. Greenish fluid sprayed, smoking. The crowd roared, pain flared in her arm. The creature's tail, a whip-like barb, had grazed her. Lyra stumbled back, clutching the wound. Dizziness hit fast. Poison, she realized. Kayla hissed. "Breathe. Their venom triggers the bond. It's part of the test." "What?" Lyra gasped, but the world blurred. The crowd's cheers faded into a low hum. Her knees hit the sand. Then, heat. A pulse radiated from her chest, spreading to her limbs. The pain in her arm dissolved. Strength surged through her veins. She stood swaying as the creature charged again. This time she sidestepped, drove the dagger into its neck and twisted. The beast shuddered and collapsed. Silence. Then the crowd exploded into shrieks and clattering applause. Lyra staggered, the dagger clattering from her hand. Her vision swam. "You're okay," Kayla soothed. The bond's growing stronger. Their venom, it's how they share memories. "You'll see?" Later in their chamber, Lyra's mind buzzed with fragments not her own. Visions of Kayla's past. A dark nest of writhing bodies, a queen's cold eyes, a hunt under twin moons. The Zarathi didn't just value strength. They worshipped it. Weakness meant death. "You never told me about this," Lyra muttered, cleaning her wound with a paste Kayla provided. It stank of sulfur. "Would you have stayed?" Lyra didn't answer. The next day brought another ritual, the gift of sustenance. Lyra was ordered to prepare a meal for the elders. Simple enough until she saw the ingredients: a live, eel-like creature that thrashed in her hands and a vial of her own blood. "Mix them," Kayla explained. "Their ancestors' spirits feed on blood. The eel's flesh honors their hunger." Lyra hesitated. "And if I refuse?" "They'll think you deny their gods. Probably kill us." With a grimace, she sliced her finger and let the blood drip into a bowl. The eel's struggles weakened as she crushed it into paste. When she served the dish, the elders sniffed it, nodded solemnly, and devoured it. Lyra's stomach churned. The hive trial came at dusk. This time, Kayla had to face it. The Zirathi believed royal heirs must endure the Vecthra's venom to prove their purity. Lyra watched as Kayla was led into a chamber thick with golden mist. Inside, a swarm of translucent insects hovered, their needle-like mouths dripping with the same venom that had nearly killed Lyra. If she survives, the matriarch said, she'll inherit the hive's wisdom. And if she doesn't, she wasn't worthy. Lyra gripped the rail. The insects descended. Kayla screamed. Hours later, they carried her out, her body swollen and glowing faintly. She couldn't speak for days. When she did, her voice was different, older, layered with whispers. I saw the hive's memories, she told Lyra. They showed me, us, our future. What future? Kyla's eyes met hers. You die. I become queen. The hive takes over. Lyra's blood ran cold. That night, Lyra dreamed of Earth, a house with cracked windows, a girl of 6, sobbing on the porch as a shuttle lifted into the sky. Mom? Dad? Her parents' voices tinny over a comms link. We'll come back, Lyra, we promise. She woke, gasping. Kayla nuzzled her cheek. They left you too. Lyra blinked back tears. How did you? The bond, I felt your memory. That's why the venom worked. It's tied to love, or loss. Lyra stared at her. You mean this whole system? It's based on emotional trauma? Kayla's scales dimmed. They believe suffering makes us strong. Well, I don't. Lyra stood, pacing. There has to be another way. A way to break the bond before it turns you into them. Kayla hissed. You don't get it. If the bond breaks, we both die. A knock echoed. A Zirathi guard entered, holding a scroll of pulsing fungus. The matriarch summons you. Lyra followed, heart pounding. In the throne room, Zilla awaited, her gaze sharp. The hive has spoken. The heir's trial revealed impurities. Lyra stiffened. Impurities? You tainted her. Zilla stepped closer, her breath smelling of rot. Your weakness seeps into her blood. The hive demands a purge. A purge? A new trial, one where you face the venom. Kyla lunged, hissing. No, Zilla smiled. Refusal means exile. For both, Lyra swallowed. Somewhere deep down, the bond hummed. A thread of warmth, fragile but real. She nodded. When do we start? The trail of silver blood led Lyra deep into the planet's underbelly, where the air thickened with heat and the scent of damp earth. Kayla's scales had left faint iridescent smudges on the walls, glowing faintly in the dark like crushed stars. Lyra's boots squelched through pools of bioluminescent slime as she descended, the bond between her and Kayla thrumming like a taut wire. Why did you run? Lyra pushed the thought through the link, desperate for an answer. Kayla's voice was a whisper, fractured and distant. They'll make me become the hive. You'll die. I can't let that happen. The tunnel opened into a cavern so vast it swallowed the light from Lyra's wrist lamp. Towering fungi stretched toward a ceiling lost in shadows, their caps pulsing with veins of amber. The ground writhed. Roots? No, worms. Dozens of them, thick as tree trunks, slithering through the soil like veins in a living heart. And at the cavern's center, a mound of pulsating flesh, glistening with moisture. A hive. Kayla stood before it, her body trembling as tendrils of golden mist curled around her. The mist coiled like snakes, slipping into her scales, her mouth, her eyes. She gasped, her form flickering, half-luminous child, half-hive drone. No, Lyra sprinted forward, dodging the worm's thrashing. Kayla, stop! The child turned, her golden eyes dimmed to a sickly yellow. It's the only way. If I merge with the hive, it'll spare you. Merge? That's not merging, that's erasing you. Lyra grabbed Kayla's shoulders, the child's scales hot to the touch. You'll lose yourself! A voice slithered into Lyra's mind, smooth and cold. Not lose. Evolve. Lyra froze. The hive's surface rippled, forming a face, a woman's, with hollow eyes and a mouth of twitching larvae. "You're the hive," Lyra whispered. "Mother, guardian, God." The voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere. "The Zirathi are my children. Kayla will be queen. You are excess." A worm lunged. Lyra dove aside, rolling across the damp earth. Kayla screamed as more tendrils snaked toward her, binding her arms. "Kayla, fight it! I can't!" The child's mental scream tore through Lyra's skull. "It's too strong. It's in my blood." The Zirathi believed their queens were born from symbiosis with the hive, but Lyra now saw the truth. The hive didn't create queens. It consumed them. Kayla's royal blood made her a vessel, a bridge for the hive's will. Every Zirathi ruler had been a puppet, their minds dissolved into the colony's consciousness. The hive's wisdom wasn't knowledge, it was control. And Kayla was next. Lyra ripped a shard of crystal from her belt, a tool from her survey days. She slashed at the tendrils binding Kayla, but the hive healed faster. The face in the flesh sneered. "Your struggle amuses me. Stay. Be part of something greater." "Pass," Lyra growled. She grabbed Kayla's head, forcing the child to meet her gaze. "Listen to me. The bond. What if we use it against the hive?" Kayla coughed, her breath rattling. "How?" "Your venom lets you share memories. What if I give you mine? Ones the hive can't overwrite?" Kayla's pupils widened. "Human memories. They're foreign, unstable. It might reject them. Then we flood it until it drowns." The hive hissed, sensing the plan. The cavern shuddered, worms rising like spears. "Do it now." Lyra pressed her forehead to Kayla's, closing her eyes. The first memory. Earth. A teenage Lyra, hunched over a microscope in a dim lab, her father's voice booming through the door. "Study harder. You'll never get off this rock without perfection." Her mother's face tired and distant as she packed a suitcase. "I'm sorry, Lyra, I just can't do this anymore." The hive recoiled. "Weakness. Pain. We discard such things." Kayla's voice was fierce. "No, this is love." It made her strong. The second memory. Space. Lyra's first mission, staring out a shuttle window as Earth shrank to a blue dot. Her hands trembled, not with fear, but freedom. "I'm not yours anymore," she whispered to the void. The hive writhed. "Irrelevant. We are unity. We are purpose." Third memory. Kayla. The child's golden eyes meeting hers on the moon. The ration bar. The bond forming. A warmth that wasn't just duty. It was choice. The hive screamed, "No, this is not our design." Kayla's body glowed, her scales flaring like trapped starlight. The tendrils snapped, disintegrating into ash. The face in the hive contorted, its mouth tearing open in a soundless roar. Lyra staggered back, her mind raw. Kayla collapsed into her arms, breathing shallow but steady. "Did it work?" Lyra whispered. The hive's mound shuddered, its glow fading. The worms stilled. The cavern fell silent. Then Kayla stirred. "It's gone. But not dead. It's changing." Before them, the hive's flesh hardened into a cocoon of amber. Inside, something shifted, a new form, neither queen nor hive. A low rumble shook the cavern. The Zirathi. They'd followed the trail. Kayla stood, wiping silver blood from her lips. "They'll kill us for this. We'll tell them the truth. The hive wasn't a god. It was a parasite." "You're free now." Kayla's laugh was bitter. "Free? No one's free, Lyra. But maybe we can be something else." They emerged into the storm-lashed night just as the Zirathi warband surrounded them. High Matriarch Zilla stepped forward, her mask cracked, eyes blazing. "You defied the hive. You defiled the rite." Lyra stepped between her and Kayla. "The hive lied. It used your people for centuries." Kayla broke its hold. "Isn't that what you wanted?" Zilla's claws flexed. "The hive was our strength. Without it, we are nothing." Kayla raised her chin, her voice echoing with newfound power. No, you're free. And freedom isn't nothing, the crowd murmured. Doubt, fear, hope. Then a shout rang out, a young warrior stepping forward. The air speaks truth. Another joined, then another. Zilla roared in rage, charging with her stinger raised. Lyra barely had time to shove Kayla aside before the matriarch's blade slashed toward her throat. A whip of golden mist lashed out, wrapping Zilla's wrist. Kayla's eyes burned. No more. The mist pulled Zilla's arm back and slammed it into the ground. The crowd fell silent. Kayla released the mist, letting it drift toward the others. One by one they inhaled, their bodies shuddering as the hive's remnants left them. Lyra stared at Kayla. What did you do? Gave them what the hive stole. Choice. But as the last of the mist faded, Kayla swayed. Her scales dulled, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Kayla. The child looked up, her voice a whisper. The bond. It's breaking. No, we beat the hive. Why are you? Kayla smiled sadly. Because the bond wasn't just the hive's chain. It was ours too. And chains don't survive freedom. Lyra caught her as she fell. The cocoon cracked with a sound like breaking glass. Lyra held her breath, her fingers still pressed to Kayla's cooling skin. From the amber shell, a tendril of light slithered out, curling toward the cavern ceiling. Then, silence. It's alive. Kayla whispered faintly, her voice fraying at the edges. But it's not the hive. Lyra's wrist lamp flickered as the cavern trembled. Above, the Zirathi warband hovered at the edge of the tunnel, their leader, High Matriarch Zilla, glaring down with hate-lit eyes. You've doomed us all, Vecthra, she spat. The hive was our shield. Now the Vorlux will consume us. The what? Lyra demanded, but Zilla turned and vanished into the storm. Kyla stirred weakly in her arms. The Vorlux. I saw them in the hive's memories. Star-eaters. They come when the hive dies, Lyra swore under her breath. Great. Cosmic cockroaches. They fled the cavern, dragging Kyla's limp form between them. The Zirathi warriors didn't stop them. Some watched with wary respect, others with fear. The hive's grip was broken, but its absence left a void, and voids invited predators. By dawn, they reached the Zirathi fortress. Lyra laid Kayla on a bedu, fungus pulp, her scales now dull as ash. The child's breathing was shallow, her mind a faint hum in Lyra's thoughts. You're not dying, Lyra muttered, pressing a damp cloth to Kayla's forehead. You're not. A shadow fell across them. Warlord Graketh, Zilla's second-in-command, loomed in the doorway, his armor clanking like rusted metal, his face half hidden by scars twisted into a grin. The air fades, he said. The hive's death is her death. Nature's law. Lyra stood blocking Kayla. Nature's law? You mean your law? You let the hive control your people for centuries. Why? Graketh's eyes glowed faintly. Because the hive protected us. The Vorlux, they are older than stars. They hunger. Only the hive's defenses kept them away. Defenses? Lyra frowned. You mean the ones buried in the planet's core? Graketh stiffened. How do you know that? The Zirathi archives were buried beneath the fortress, a labyrinth of tunnels carved into living stone. Lyra descended alone, her wrist lamp casting shaky light over walls etched with spiraling glyphs. Kyla's fever had spiked, her body trembling, with unseen forces. If there was an answer, it would be here. She found it in a chamber sealed by a pulsing membrane. When she touched it, the wall dissolved, revealing a vault of crystalline data stores. With a flick of her tool, she activated. One, a hologram erupted, a Zirathi queen, her body crowned with wings of light. Her voice boomed in a language Lyra didn't know, but the translation chip in her ear buzzed, spitting out fragments. We were not born of this world. The architects seeded us to guard the core. The Vorlocks come again. Only the hive can hold them. But the hive fails. The image glitched, then stabilized. The queen's eyes met Lyra's. If you see this, the cycle has broken. Choose. Flee, or become the new shield. The hologram died. Lyra stared at the data store. The Zirathi weren't native to this planet. They were guardians, engineered to maintain the hive which powered a planetary defense system against the Vorlocks. Without the hive, the Vorlocks would breach the galaxy's edge, and Kayla, half human and half Zirathi, was the first being in millennia to break the cycle. Kayla's fever broke at dusk. She sat up, her scales flickering faintly. I heard it too, she said before Lyra could speak. The Vorlocks are coming, and we have to stop them. How? Lyra asked. The hive's dead. The defenses are gone. Kayla slid from the bed, her movements unsteady but determined. Not gone, dormant. The architects left a way to wake them. In the core. The core? The planet's heart. Where the hive's roots began. Lyra hesitated. And if we fail? Kayla's golden eyes darkened. Then the Vorlocks eat everything. Earth, your stars, all of it. A cold weight settled in Lyra's gut. They stole a flyer at midnight. Grath's forces intercepted them at the canyon's edge. The warlord's voice crackled over the comms. Turn back, Vecthra. The core is sacred. You'll die for trespassing. Kayla snarled, her voice amplified through the ship's speakers. You knew the truth and did nothing. The Vorlocks are your fault, Grath laughed. The Vorlocks are yours. You killed the hive. You unmade the shield. Lyra gritted her teeth. Then we'll remake it. The flyer lurched as missiles streaked past. Grath's fleet pursued them into the storm-racked sky. The core lay beneath a desert of black glass. They crash-landed near a fissure, the heat blistering their suits. The air smelled of ozone and burnt sugar. Kayla led the way, her strength, returning with every step as if the planet itself recognized her. The fissure opened into a cavern of impossible size. At its center, a sphere of liquid light suspended in a lattice of crystal roots. The hive's heart. It's still alive, Lyra breathed. Dormant, Kayla corrected. But the Vorlocks are close. We have minutes. They approached the sphere. Kayla reached out, her hand dissolving into golden mist. The architects designed this for queens. I have to merge with it, become the new hive. No, Lyra grabbed her arm. You'll lose yourself. Kayla's eyes softened. Maybe. But if I don't, everyone dies. Before Lyra could argue, the ground shook. From the fissure above, a shadow fell. A shape like a starved jellyfish, its body a swirling void that swallowed light. The Vorlocks. Kayla turned to the sphere. Get to the flyer. If I fail, run. Lyra didn't move. The Vorlocks screeched, its voice a vacuum. Kayla screamed as she plunged her hands into the light. The cavern exploded with brilliance. The Vorlocks struck like a thunderclap. Its gelatinous body rippled, tendrils of void stuff lashing toward Lyra. She dove aside as the ground vaporized where she'd stood. Above, the cavern's ceiling cracked, letting in streaks of dim sunlight that the Vorlocks greedily swallowed. Kayla stood motionless in front of the glowing hive core, her body shimmering with golden mist. Her eyes were closed, her hands buried in the sphere of liquid light. Kayla, Lyra shouted. Now would be a great time to activate that new hive power. The Vorlocks screeched, a sound that made Lyra's bones ache, and lunged. Then, Kayla opened her eyes. They burned with 1,000 suns. The cavern erupted. Roots of crystalline energy burst from the hive core, snaking toward the Vorlocks like spears. The creature recoiled, its void tendrils slashing at the roots, but the strikes left no mark. The roots coiled around the Vorlocks, pinning it. Kayla's voice echoed, layered with a chorus of whispers. The hive. You are not hunger. You are not death. You are a mistake. And I am the correction. The Vorlocks hissed, its form writhing. You are weak. Its voice was a vacuum, pulling air and sanity into its maw. The hive failed. We will feast. Kayla stepped forward, her body now half human, half light. She raised a hand. The roots tightened. Lyra staggered back, shielding her eyes. The air crackled with power. This isn't Kayla anymore, she thought, panic clawing at her throat. She's gone. But then, Lyra. The whisper cut through the chaos, sharp and clear, Kayla's voice faint but real. I'm still here, the child added, her tone strained. But I'm splitting. The hive wants to fight. I want to save you. Lyra gritted her teeth. Then fight. Don't let it take you. The Vorlux thrashed, tearing free of the roots. It shrank, its mass condensing into a smaller, denser shape, a jagged, star-shaped predator with teeth of antimatter. Kayla hissed. It's adapting. The Vorlux leapt. Time slowed. Lyra saw the moment Kayla split, not physically, but mentally. Half her body pulsed with hive light, directing the roots and energy waves. The other half, her face, her heart, remained Kayla. The child who'd once nuzzled Lyra's wrist for warmth. The Vorlux's jaws snapped inches from Kayla's throat. Lyra screamed, and Kayla laughed. With a flick of her free hand, the roots surged upward, forming a cage of light around the Vorlux. The creature thrashed, but the cage contracted, forcing it into a tighter and tighter spiral. You fed me, Kayla whispered, her voice both sweet and terrible. You gave me a memory the hive can't overwrite. That's what makes me strong. Not the hive, not the Zerathi. You. The Vorlux shrieked, its form fracturing. No! You are hive! You are death! Kayla stepped closer, her glowing hand brushing the cage. The Vorlux's scream died as the light ate it, molecule by molecule, until nothing remained but a faint shadow on the floor. Silence. Lyra approached cautiously. Kayla stood frozen, her body flickering between solid and mist. Kayla, the child, turned. Her eyes were normal again, golden, wide, and scared. Did I win? Lyra pulled her into a hug, ignoring the static buzzing around Kayla's skin. You kicked cosmic butt. Now let's get out of here before your hive powers blow up. Kayla didn't move. I can't leave. The core, it's part of me now. If I go, the shield weakens. Lyra stiffened. You're saying you have to stay here forever? Kayla's scales dimmed. I'm the new hive. This is my nest. No. Lyra stepped back, shaking her head. No way. There's got to be another way. You're not a machine. You're not a queen. You're Kayla. The child's voice wavered. Maybe I'm all three. A rumble shook the cavern. The hive core pulsed, sending waves of light through the roots. Outside, the storm above the desert began to calm. The Zerathi's defenses were reactivating, but at a cost. Gracketh found them at dawn. He stood at the cavern's edge, his armor scorched from the flyer crash. Behind him, a dozen warriors held weapons ready, but their eyes darted nervously between Kayla and the glowing roots. You killed the hive, Gracketh spat. And now you are it, abomination. Kayla stepped forward, her body half lit. The hive is dead. I'm something new, and I'm not letting the Vorlux touch this world. Gracketh laughed. You think we'll bow to a half-breed? You're a mistake, a wound in the natural order. Lyra stepped between them. Funny. I thought the natural order was letting a parasite run your lives. Gracketh's eyes narrowed. The hive gave us purpose. Kayla's voice softened. Purpose isn't the same as freedom. You know that now. Or you wouldn't have let the Vorlux reach our skies. For a heartbeat, Gracketh hesitated. Doubt flickered across his scarred face. Then he charged. Lyra barely had time to shove Kayla aside before Gracketh's blade slashed toward them. But Kayla reacted faster. The root surged, binding his arms and legs. He thrashed, snarling. Kayla loomed over him, her voice echoing with the hive's chorus. You wanted a queen? Here I am. Serve or leave. Gracketh spat at her feet. You'll rot here, demon. Kayla released the roots. Gracketh stumbled back. his warriors pulling him into the desert. Night fell. Lyra sat beside Kayla at the cavern's edge, staring at the stars. The Vorlix threat was gone, for now, but the weight of what happened pressed down like gravity. "You don't have to do this," Lyra said quietly. Kayla's tail curled around her wrist. "I do. The Zirathi need someone to guard the core, and I'm not ready to leave it." "To leave me, you mean?" "I'll always be with you," Kayla insisted. "The bond's still here. Feel it?" Lyra did. A faint warmth in her chest, like a thread not yet broken. Then Kayla added softly, "But I can't be just your daughter. Not anymore." Lyra swallowed. "You never were just anything." The architects arrived as shadows against the dawn. Their ship wasn't metal. It pulsed like living tissue, its surface shifting between solid and liquid. It landed silently on the desert's edge, leaving no tracks, no heat. Lyra's wrist lamp flickered as the signal grew stronger, its source unmistakable. The architects were broadcasting a message. "We come to reclaim what was lost." Kayla stiffened, her scales dimming. "They knew I'd merge with the hive. They're here to fix it." "You're not a mistake," Lyra snapped, gripping her scanner. "You're alive, that's all that matters. To them. I'm a glitch." Kayla's voice trembled. "And they erase glitches." The architects emerged, tall, willowy figures wrapped in flowing robes of woven light. Their faces were smooth, featureless, yet their presence pressed on. Lyra's mind like a headache. One stepped forward, raising a hand, its voice echoed without moving its mouth. "You are not the hive. You are not the heir. You are an anomaly. Step aside." Kayla stood firm, her body half lit with hive energy. "The Zirathi are free now. The Vorlix are gone. Why are you here?" "To restore balance. The hive was a safeguard. You have undone its purpose." Lyra stepped between Kayla and the architect. "The hive was a parasite. It controlled your people for millennia. You knew, didn't you? You created the Zirathi to be puppets." The architect tilted its head. "We engineered the Zirathi to serve. A species cannot evolve if it does not struggle. The hive ensured their survival until the Vorlix returned." Kayla's tail lashed. "You let them suffer. You let them die, just to test them. Survival is not mercy, it is necessity." The architect's voice sharpened. "Step aside, anomaly, or be erased." The Zirathi arrived next. Gracketh led them, his warriors armed but hesitant. Behind him, civilians huddled, their eyes darting between the architects and Kayla. For centuries, they'd worshipped the hive as divine. Now its replacement, a child, stood defiant. Gracketh spat. "You brought them here. You've doomed us all." Kayla's glow flared. "You don't get to hate me for freeing you. The architects don't care about you. They'll replace the hive with something worse." Gracketh hesitated. The crowd murmured. The architect raised its hand again. "Enough. The anomaly will be corrected." A beam of light lanced toward Kayla. Lyra shoved her aside. The beam struck her instead. Pain seared her chest, like being dissolved, atom by atom. She screamed, but her voice sounded distant, warped. Then, silence. Lyra opened her eyes. She wasn't dead, but she wasn't herself. Her hands glowed faintly, the bond with Kayla now a roaring current. The architect's attack hadn't erased her. It had fused her memories with the hive's energy. She felt the roots beneath the desert, the Zirathi's collective fear, the architect's cold logic. And she felt Kayla's panic. "Lyra, what did they do to you?" Lyra stood slowly, her voice layered with whispers, part human, part hive. "They tried to delete me, instead they made me more." The architect stiffened. "You are unstable. Containment required." Lyra raised a hand. The roots surged, forming a shield of crystal. "Try it again, and you'll wake the whole planet." The battle was a clash of wills. The architects wielded precision, beams of light that unraveled, matter, drones that reprogrammed the air itself. Kayla fought with instinct, directing the hive's roots to entangle and crush. Lyra, newly linked to the hive's network, guided the Zerathi warriors, their minds sinking through the bond like a neural web. But the architects adapted. One drone latched onto Kayla's back, its tendrils drilling into her spine. She screamed as her glow flickered. "It's rewriting me!" Lyra lunged, tearing the drone free. The architect nearest her recoiled, its voice sharp. "The bond is the weakness. Sever it." Lyra's wrist lamp buzzed wildly. She saw the truth in its data. The architects couldn't erase Kayla unless they broke the link between her and the hive. And the bond wasn't just hive energy. It was Lyra's love. "Kayla!" Lyra grabbed her hands. "Remember the first day when I fed you that ration bar?" Kayla's eyes fluttered. "You didn't know what I was, but you gave me food anyway." "That's the bond, not the hive, not the architects, us." Lyra pressed their foreheads together. "They can't touch that." Kayla's glow steadied. "Then let's show them what us can do." Together, they reached into the hive's core. The cavern erupted. Roots became spears. The air hummed with bioluminescent energy. The architects faltered, their drones overwhelmed by the sheer force of the Zerathi's collective will. No longer puppets, but allies. Grakoth roared, leading the charge with his warriors. The Zerathi, once cowering, now fought with fury. Born of freedom, the architects fell back. The last architect stood at the edge of the desert, its robe tattered. "You delay the inevitable. The cycle will break again, and we will return." Lyra stepped forward. "Next time, we'll be ready." The architect dissolved into light, its ship vanishing with a sound like a sigh. Silence settled. Kayla turned. To Lyra, her scales flickering. "You're part hive now." Lyra glanced at her glowing hands. "Part you. Does that mean I have to stay here?" Kayla's voice softened. "No, the bond's strong enough. You can go home." "To Earth?" Lyra laughed bitterly. "I don't have a home there, just labs and lectures." Kayla nuzzled her shoulder. "Then build a new one, with us." Lyra looked at the Zerathi, their wary hope, their fractured culture rebuilding itself. She thought of her parents, who'd abandoned her to chase alien science, and she thought of Kayla, who'd chosen her when no one else would. "I'm not going anywhere," Lyra said. Kayla's eyes brightened. "Not even if I'm not your daughter anymore?" "You'll always be my daughter." Lyra hugged her, the warmth of the bond humming between them. "But maybe now, I can be your mother." Hook. As the sun rose, the hive core pulsed one final time. The roots withdrew into the earth. The cavern sealed itself and Kayla's glow faded to normal. The Zerathi whispered, had the hive truly died? Or had it become something new? Only Kayla's smile hinted at the answer. The hive core remained sealed beneath the desert, its roots withdrawn into the earth. Without its influence, the planet's skies cleared for the first time in millennia, revealing constellations no Zerathi had seen since their ancestors' exile. But freedom came with scars. The warriors who'd fought the architects bore glowing wounds where hive energy had lingered. The civilians whispered of nightmares, their minds no longer linked to the hive's collective. Kayla walked among them, her scales flickering faintly as she listened. "The architects will return," one elder muttered. "We need the hive." "The hive lied," a child hissed back. "The Vectra saved us." Kayla didn't correct them. She wasn't sure what she was anymore, a bridge maybe, or a mistake that had become something new. Lyra watched from the edge of the crowd, her own hands still faintly luminous. The architect's attack had fused her memories with hive energy, leaving her half-linked to the planet's pulse. She felt the Zerathi's fears like static in her skull, but she also felt Kayla's steady warmth in their bond. "You okay?" she asked when Kayla slithered to her side. "They're afraid," Kayla replied, her voice soft. "But not of me. Of what comes next." Lyra snorted. "Next is called freedom. It's messy, but it's yours." Kayla nuzzled her shoulder. "Yours too." "Both. And no using hive powers to cheat at chess." The architects returned in winter. Their ship didn't land. It hovered, casting a shadow over the settlement. A single drone descended, projecting a message. The anomaly persists. A new cycle begins. Kayla stepped forward, her glow steady. No, this is the end of your cycles. We're done being your experiments. The drone flickered. You cannot defy the architects. You are not ready. Lyra raised her glowing hand. Funny. We were never not ready. You just never gave us a chance. The drone vanished. The ship departed. For now. Years later, the desert bloomed. The sealed core's roots spread, weaving forests of crystalline light. The Zirathi learned to farm the flowers, using their pollen to heal wounds and purify water. Kayla's bond with the planet deepened, but she never merged fully. She chose to walk between worlds, neither hive nor human, but something new. Lyra stayed. She built a lab, studied the flower roots, and sent encrypted data to Earth, carefully omitting the part about the architects. Her old colleagues dismissed her reports as delusional fieldwork, but she didn't care. She'd found a purpose that didn't involve committees or corporate sponsors. One morning, a new signal pinged her wrist lamp. A ship. Human Kayla coiled. Beside her, her eyes bright. More humans? Maybe, Lyra said. Or something else. Will you leave? Lyra glanced at Kayla. No longer a child, but a leader, a scientist, a friend. The bond hummed between them, warm and unbroken. Nope, she said, my home's right here.